What's up, my XRP brothers from another mother and my cute XRP sisters? This is Rob with the Rob 007 channel coming to you from beautiful Venice Island. Absolutely just gorgeous day down at the beach, 5 out of 5. And the title of this episode is The Mother Lode of Connecting the Pipes is Set. Massive volume will flow through the XRP ledger. Watch this episode to the end. And the second title is Adoption Will Be XRP Fast and Furious. A $1,000 XRP is going to be a piece of cake. 10 reasons why. And yes, I am pumped. I'll have 7 or 10 somewhere in there, but there's only one that really counts. And anyway, thank you as always. Last episode, over 10,000 views. Appreciate each and every one of you as we work towards now 7,000 subscribers is our next rung. So excited about that. But indeed, if you are new to this channel, if you would hit the subscribe button to subscribe, the bell for notifications, that like button, tap it, slap it, whatever you are feeling for the Saturday. The weekend is here. And part of you guys want to tap it, another part want to slap it, seeing that we are all waiting with bated breath about the ETFs. We'll be talking about that in this episode. Don't forget about the fine folks at iTrustCapital. Absolutely love those guys. This is one of my the top places to custody my XRP. Zero fees, 1% on executing trades. Their fee on that, 0 for custody, and also they will be bringing out an ROI on your XRP. Fantastic news. And when you sign up, they give you a Ben Franklin $100 signing bonus. The link is in below. You have to use the code ROB007. And also don't forget about the fine folks at Caleb and Brown. You guys have interest in all these products. And so many of my friends that are in XRP, they actually have an account of all of them. It's good to diversify. But there are also no custody fees. And you can pick up the phone. What I really like about them, and also they opened up an office in Fort Lauderdale. So even though they are based down under, they are here in the state of Florida. So anyway, tell them Rob sent you. That link is in the description. And also Kraken, the fun continues. You can get $75 when you sign up and execute a $200 trade. Let's call it a 40% ROI in one day. Link is also in description. I love my Kraken, so I can get tight trades. And also, last but not least, and then going back to Caleb and Brown, I actually thought about this before. I'm going to be putting in some sell orders and some buy orders on my Caleb and Brown. Why? Because I don't have the confidence that I will be able to get those hit on Uphold and on other exchanges that also that literally said no withdrawals, no trades. So, but I do know I can get them on Caleb and Brown. So I'm going to be putting those in for some targets here. In comes the crew. I got my my executive director coming up, pulling up. So anyway, that's one of the reasons why I love Caleb and Brown, because I will be able to execute a trade. Think about, like, if you, I did find out somebody did execute trade on XRP and got $1.88 during that last liquidity crisis. That's fantastic. Also, shout out to Gene. Met him again up on Sharky, so good to catch up with him after about, I don't know, a year, 2 years. Anyway, when I did see him, we were talking about, he's like, Rob, I want to talk to you about, where did you get that bigger boat? Then he turned around on the t-shirt he was wearing, it says, you're gonna need, yes, a bigger boat. Also in the comments, Bammy says, we are not worried at all. He says, we're going higher and nothing can stop XRP anymore. 100%, I feel that way. It's just so excitement in this space every single day. It's unbelievable. It truly is. Also in the comments, this is from Donald, says, he says, what about those exchanges where there were issues? I was talking about someone who was unable to withdraw his XRP. They had frozen it. That exchange actually happened on Coinbase. So, you can make an argument it's for security purposes. We'll see how that works. I try to give him some ideas, but that's, again, one of the reasons why I like other alternatives. Besides that, currently we got Bitcoin trading at 107.007 flat on the 24 hours. XRP at $2.37, up 2.5%. And from the Rob report, shout out to you, Rob. This is also very disheartening news when you hear this, but a YouTuber, someone launched a new, I think their first video up on YouTube, apparently lost all of his crypto on an LEPAL cold storage to the tune of $1.3 million. That is really, really tough to hear. And you know what? It's not a reflection. It's just a fact that happened with him. In this case, LEPAL, any number of reasons. It could be you could have bought the LE Pal off of Amazon. That's always a no-no. You want to buy it direct from the source. So my heart goes out to them. Also, one of the reasons I always, not financial advice for myself, I diversify, and I take my bag and I put it in at least 3 places, if not 4, if not 7, just in case of one of my ships go down or 6 of those ships go down. That one ship I have left, if you believe XRP will hit $1,000 and $10,000 at 10,000, yeah, that gets me over the finish line. And also, this is from John Squire up on X. He theorizes that Brad Garlinghouse would buy Swift. That's an interesting thought, and you can make an argument that they would have the war chest to do so, and then just with a blink of an eye and a flip of the switch, they can just, if they wanted to, start to pipe and use XRP as the rails for that, for the what they call rich data, with those 13,000 banks all around the world and central banks. 24-hour cryptos also still thinks that Ripple may acquire USDC Circle. And as well, so that is also, I think, still on the table. I was thinking about that as well. With interest rate cuts, makes it a little harder for Circle and with their USDC. So maybe Ripple's just kind of waiting for the right time that they can come in, make a sweet deal, scoop that up. That would be a game changer, wouldn't it? Just instant acquisition, and then all of a sudden you got this massive market reach just happens overnight. And yes, that RLUSD would be flipped. That USDC probably just be flipped for RLUSD in this. And then the minting of the RLUSD, guys, you have no idea how it's going to be. And don't forget the 29th, this is going to be such fun for the next 2 weeks. On the 29th, we got rate cuts, again, a 1/4 basis point, and it's still going to help, you know, iron in the fire, but a half would really get this market just moving. And I'm laser focused on 2 main things, not the rate cuts, not even the ISO 222. So, but I am laser focused on the one, spot ETFs. And then, so take a look at it. We talked about it in the last episode. This week's going to be a great week. 18th, Grace Sale, which is today. 19th, tomorrow, 21 shares. Monday, Bitwise. On the 23rd, Canary Capital. On 24th, Wisdom Tree. And on the 25th, Coin Shares, which is the following Saturday. And so that's really exciting to see. And also the shutdown did, you know, the shutdown matter in terms of getting, oh, that's the youngest, second executive producer going by my car. So we got to put a hand up. So the shutdown, I don't think it affects the from those ETFs being approved. So here it is Saturday, right? And you're saying, Rob, what happened? I don't see it being approved. It is my firm belief, and it's also speculation, I might add, that Grayscale ETF was automatically approved. Just by default, it is automatically approved of this day. And tomorrow, by default, the other one will happen, which is the 21 shares. And on Wednesday, by Monday, by default, Bitwise will have theirs, will actually be approved by default. And then on Monday, I expect that either we get an announcement from the SEC or up on their site, sec.gov, or perhaps that we get it from the individual funds that are doing those. But yes, that is my belief, and time will tell. We'll find out on Monday. So expect to see that. And one of the other reasons why I think that it will also be approved, you think about Tucrium. Tucrium is one of those that they just, it wasn't approved or denied. It was just by default. That happened with Tucrium. And also, once again, I'll say the OCC approving Peter Thiel's bank license. No, the OCC is not the SEC. But I also think that that there's a good argument to say with a pro-crypto SEC chair, Paul Atkins, they want it sooner than later. Yeah, so anyway, moving on. So this is, again, the laser focus. What that means for moi, and hopefully you guys too, I'm eyeing $20. The $20 is that sweet spot. I know a lot of people taking profit at 5 and 10, but 20 is the one that sings with me. And so anyway, my date for that, after getting these going, I'm still looking at Thanksgiving. By Thanksgiving, we have a $20 XRP, and that's because I think the supply shock is going to be bigger than anyone anticipates. And I'll give you a clue why. It begins with the big boys. You're talking about your Fidelities, Vanguards, and so forth. You don't think for a moment's notice that they actually pay attention to what BlackRock does. You know they do. So they see BlackRock doing what? Tokenizing what? Treasuries. Where? On the XRP ledger with XRP. tokenizing. All right, so they're all paying notice to it. So when they get the green flag and they sync their brokers, and those brokers are smiling and dialing to the top of their food chain first, go for the big portfolios. They're saying we want you to be 5% allocated into crypto minimum, and we suggest Bitcoin, Ethereum, and ETH. Here are the stats. Right, most people do Bitcoin, they'll do a little ETH, and they'll do a little tide of XRP. We, as a firm, we actually say we have it totally reversed. We like XRP. It's the one that we think will do big and have bigger returns. Why? Bitcoin, if it does a 10x, it's what, $1 million? Okay. If XRP does a 10x, what? That's only $25. So anyway, they all kind of know. So that's why I think it's going to be bigger than you think. $20 by Thanksgiving. Let's hope that we get that. And also, the second wild card, by the way, is do we see a BlackRock ETF slide in there and quietly into the night? That would be really great. And then last but not least, we're talking about the Clarity Act. That's my second thing I'm laser focused on. And again, not in as much interest rate, not even the ISO 222, but it is this Clarity Act. And the Clarity Act, well, it all is dependent upon when the government decides to reopen. Some say Monday, others say that it could last as late as December 1st. That would be 60 days from the time it started, thereabouts. And so take your pick. At some point, when it does reopen, Larry Fink gets what he wants, and he's pounding on the table, biting at the bit, 9 ways to Sunday, eating, looking like the cat that ate the canary, saying, look, I want this done now. So I do think that it happens. Me, again, for my drop dead date for Clarity Act is the 12th of December, latest, to actually be signed into law or passed. And then what we'll see is in that details of that law, it'll actually have a date that it becomes effective. That's the one I'm going to put up on my calendar. That's when I think that we at some point could see that quote unquote flip the switch, and it could happen earlier with the liquidity crisis. So whether that's January 1, wouldn't that be absolutely amazing to start the year, and that the banks, or it could just be like January 3rd, because the banks will be closed on the 1st. So maybe it's January 3rd, something like that, that first business day. Okay. And so the other thing that goes along with that is talking about, once again, price. And I'm talking about $1,000 XRP, 9 ways to Sunday. There's so many different ways. I was just rattling off the top of my head, because if you had all these pulls and tugs on the supply, and each one can kind of deliver, like ETFs, Jake thinks they can pull the price of XRP anywhere from 50 to $100. We'll say look on the high side of 100. You got ETFs, you got strategic reserves, corporate reserves. It just goes on. RLUSD, real world tokenization. You got BlackRock's new Texas Stock Exchange. So many. You got the G Treasury that just happened. Unbelievable with that. And then the list goes on. You take one bank like Wells Fargo, that could bring the price per the Todd report upwards of $600 as well for that. I knew that call would come in late. I'm going to keep on chatting. So anyway, so that could pull in on that. So that's just an abbreviated way that we can get, if each one of those. Last one too is the RLUSD, with the line of credit being able to address the IPO market, what it did for Gemini. That in and of itself could actually add another 100 to the price. Yes, and so there we go. And then the G4 Treasury is unbelievable. I have been looking into that, and I will be talking about in depth on Monday, talking about a DTC. Just looking in that's really fascinating. Do you know how much the DTC processes? And Ripple has now a conduit into DTCC. It's 2.5 quadrillion. That's $2,500 trillion moving through there on an annual basis. Absolutely. And that's why a lot of people say XRP can't be dirt cheap, and why you definitely kind of need a bigger boat. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out. And let's see if I can just kind of pause back and roll back on this $1,000 XRP real quick. It's about the reality of that happening. At some point, the banks, once they have the Clarity Act, and the Clarity Act is passed and it goes into that effective date, you don't think for a moment's notice that whether it's SWIFT or whether it's Bank of America or JP Morgan or Wells Fargo or BlackRock or SBI, the list goes on, that they go, okay, it's time to use it for large wholesale payments. And that goes back to the Treasury. And one thing that's a starking, just like blaring at me, is that when I think about Ripple in London beginning days, you always thought about Ripple with Western Union. People sending $200 to Mexico. Not anymore. That G Treasury, you're talking about governments and other entities, other corporate treasuries sending massive volume at one time. So there you go. There's your $1,000 XRP. See you guys in the next episode. Peace out.